Jesus saves, Jesus saves, Jesus saves. But outside the Supreme Court, it's going to be a circus. What? Are you serious? Folks, it's already started. You know, I told you earlier this morning, the first video I did, of course, discussing Obamacare, the Supreme Court, and the RFID microchip, the 666, the technology that could be used for the mark of the beast. But folks, they are converging upon the steps of the Supreme Court like we've never seen before. Let me read you an article breaking right now. It's going to be a circus as activists have begun demonstrations outside the Supreme Court over the health care law. Folks, by Saturday, a short amount of people had already formed on the sidewalk outside of the Supreme Court building, filled by people with hopes of snagging prime seats for what will likely be the most historic oral arguments debating the fate of President Barack Obama's health care law. Those few souls who braved a weekend of rain for the hottest ticket in town will be joined by thousands more over the next 3 days as activists from far and wide descend upon the nation's capital there at Washington, D.C. Tea Party, unions, liberal advocacy organizations, religious groups, non-aligned curiosity seekers are arriving outside the court. I mean, next we'll see Barnum and Bailey Circus. What? Probably Saturday Night Live. You know there's going to be Sean Penn and George Clooney and Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt. What? Everybody, the circus is in town on the steps of the Supreme Court as the world embraces and holds its breath. For what is going to happen? Are you serious? What? It's time to exhale. Because let's wait and see what the 9 Supreme Court justices in those long black robes will begin to deal with when they have to actually stare at the Constitution of the United States of America in spite of the noise and the clutter and the clatter and the chitter and the chatter that's going to be going on all around Washington. And how much money is going to be flowing. What? Now, as Tea Party, unions, liberal advocacy organizations, religious groups, non-aligned curiosity seekers are arriving outside the court with rallies planned in front of the steps and in the nearby parks surrounding the building. Groups are bussing in thousands in the city from around the country for this 3-day marathon. Demonstrations, counter-rallies, prayer vigils will be held each day under the watchful eye of security personnel. Oh! The watchful eye of who? Homeland Security. The TSA might even be there. FBI, CIA, Big Brother's watching. It's all about that microchip. It's all about the microchip because they've already passed the law. The NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. They can come into your home, arrest anybody they need to. I'll guarantee you there will be people arrested in these 3 days. There will be chanting. There will be signs. There will be pushing. There will be shoving. There will be fist pounding. There will be prayer. And watch and see if the people they don't arrest are the prayer warriors. The Bible thumpers, they'll call them. The Christians. They will be the ones that they will hate to deal with. Why? Because they have the most power of anybody there. They have the power of God. Is Obamacare unconstitutional? Anything that would create this big of a 3-day circus, normally, folks, can I tell you this? Normally, when a case goes before the Supreme Court, it is argued for 1 hour. Not 3 days. Not 2 or 3 hours a day for 3 days. If something is that controversial, that thousands of people are going to be outside the building, pushing and shoving from every direction, then you might want to stop and say, does it look like this bill was for the people, by the people, and of the people? But looks more like a sham from the lobbyist organizations from either the left or the right or both. But it really looks like this thing is being rammed down the throat of the American public, especially when you do an opinion poll and the liberal mass media of America says 67% of the Americans don't want Obamacare. If the liberal media says it's 67, it's more like 87%. It's going to be a circus, said Ethan Rome, Executive Director of Healthcare for America, now a Washington, D.C. based group that supports the health care law. The organization is part of the Liberal Campaign for America's Future, which will showcase personal stories from those who say they have benefited from the provisions already enacted by the law and what will happen to them if this law is repealed. And for us, this is an opportunity to tell the real story of the Affordable Care Act, said Rome. This is going to be one of the most significant decisions in 100 years. Now, dozens of other groups plan to bring hundreds more to the steps of the court to show support for the law. Families of the United States of America, a liberal organization that focuses on healthcare policy, is arming its activists with talking points, a guide to legal arguments backing the law and materials about the legal challenges. They even have created what they call the People's Brief, the petition to urge the court to uphold the law. Okay? Also, there'll be liberal groups who will be met by thousands of conservative activists who will rally their opposition to the law. Americans for Prosperity Group, a conservative group with chapters throughout the country, is bringing as many as 60 buses filled with demonstrators from Virginia, Maryland, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Michigan, and Connecticut. 20 other conservative groups, including several Tea Party organizations, are teaming up with the AFP to organize a Hands Off Our Health Care rally in the nearby park on Tuesday, tomorrow. Republican members of Congress, as well as several other conservative leaders, are all scheduled at the rally. Folks, it's all about the chip. It's all about the microchip, the radio frequency identification device. Now, you're not going to hear that. You're going to hear it's about pre-existing coverage. You're going to hear it's about health care for the disadvantaged. You're going to hear it's about betterment of the health of America for all people. They're not going to tell you about the mandatory requirement of the citizens of America to have health care after the election. Give Obama some space, because after the election, that's when the real implementation of this bill will kick in. Folks, you haven't even seen the bill yet. All you've seen is your premiums go up. You haven't even seen the bill yet. And in 2013 and 2014, the real implementation of this bill is going to happen, and then you're going to feel the pinch. You're going to feel, it doesn't matter if you have a job or not. You better pay for your health care. If not, you will be fined. You will be taxed. You will be maybe arrested. This is not a good situation, and that's why thousands are gathering from the right, thousands coming from the right, from the conservative side, and some from the left. This thing's going to get ugly. I think we need to pray for our nation. I think we need to really pray for our nation. Thousands of people are going to be there. The next 3 days, it's going to get heated. Are you saved? It's all about the chip. It's all about the chip, which is the size of the top of that pen. The microchip. Give your life to Jesus. You can contact me right here on this YouTube channel. You can send me a personal message. I can't change what's going to happen. I can just tell you what Jesus can do. He can change your heart. Send me a personal message. I want to be saved. I want to be saved.